Thank you to my patrons for voting this video. Have you ever wondered how much your favorite Seiyuu makes? Well, let me tell you. They don't. They make less than half of what you're imagining. A show by Abema revealed that out of 300,000 people who are trying to become Seiyuu, only 10,000 actually successfully become Seiyuu, and within those, only 300 manage to survive making a living through only Seiyuu work. But what determines how much they are paid? What gigs are the most lucrative? And how does one make a living through voice acting in Japan? Well, first, let's get one thing straight. Anime pays like shit. Out of any kind of voice work a Seiyuu can do, anime, perhaps surprisingly, is by far one of the worst pay per hour wise. This is the ranking system. Yes, we have power scaling in Seiyuu salary. The standard way of calculating pay was provided by the Japan Actors Union to prevent new young Seiyuu from being absolutely exploited. This is the formula per anime episode/work. Basic rank times broadcast time of work times initial intended usage rate equals performance fee. Performance fee here just means per broadcast. So for anime, it's per episode, and for movies, it's just a one-time pay. Alright, we have a lot to go through. So what's a base rank? Essentially, all Seiyuu have a rank they are assigned, and the base pay is determined by their rank. At the bottom of the pyramid is the junior rank. This is generally the first rank you are assigned when you debut as a Seiyuu and lasts 3 years. Unfortunately, under this rank, you are only paid the base flat 15,000 yen without applying the formula. So enjoy suffering for the first 3 years of your career. After 3 years, you are able to advance to the numerical ranks, ranks 15 to 45, where the base pay increases by 1,000 yen per rank. So the base pay is 15,000 to 45,000, depending on your rank. Finally, if you become big enough as a top Seiyuu, you can advance to no rank, where there is no upper limit, and theoretically, you can negotiate your own rates with production companies. Although keep in mind, there are very few people that get to this level. Next in the formula, we have broadcast time. This is pretty simple. It depends on the broadcast time of the anime. So for a standard anime, one episode would take a 30-minute slot, giving just a 1 times multiplier, aka nothing extra. A 60-minute episode slot, like some episode 1s of anime and stuff, would give a 1.5 times multiplier. A 120-minute slot is 2.3 times, and a 180-minute slot is 3 times. Finally, we have the initial intended usage rate. This is essentially just extra pay depending if the content is broadcasted on TV or in cinemas. TV gives you an extra 80%, while theatrical releases give an extra 150%. Remember, this does not apply to junior ranks. So essentially, your pay can immediately double 3 years after debut, after you get past that pesky junior rank. Just as an example, a rank 15 Seiyuu in a standard 1 core anime. Each episode would get you 15,000 times 1 times 1.8, giving 27,000 yen per episode. But usually, if you're under an agency, they take about 20 to 30%, and 10%-ish will be withheld as tax. So in this circumstance, out of the 27k, you actually take away about 16,000 yen per episode. For a standard 12-episode core anime, if you appear in every episode, that would be 192,000 yen. Remember, this is 1 core, so 3 months. The average rent in metropolitan Tokyo is about 100,000 yen per month. You cannot even make enough to pay your rent just by doing 1 main character per season. That's also assuming you're a main character appearing in every episode. If you're an NPC that appears in like 2 episodes, then you get 2 episodes worth of pay. And also, that example assumed you are rank 15. Juniors have it even worse. Another thing to note is how many lines you have in an episode does not affect your pay per episode at all. So for example, in Demon Slayer, Tanjiro yapping the entire episode and Nezuko making 2 seconds of noise in the same episode are paid through the exact same formula. Alright, so this is the basic structure. So you may ask, in this formula, broadcast time and intended usage are basically fixed. The Seiyuu don't control these factors in the slightest. So how do you rank up? How do you increase your pay? Well, you can actually choose your rank. You see, even under an agency, Seiyuu are more seen as talent than company employees. It's a self-reporting system. Once a year, in April, Seiyuu rankings are updated and you are allowed to up your rank. Technically speaking, there is nothing nothing stopping you from going straight from rank 15 to 30 once you finish your 3 years of junior. But once you rank up, you are never allowed to go back down. Now, the problem with this is, as you may know, anime production budgets are extremely limited. If a production committee sees you and another Seiyuu who has about as much popularity as you, but a lower rank, they might choose the other Seiyuu over you to save costs. So essentially, it's crucial to know how much you yourself are worth and how much others are willing to pay for your level of clout and voice acting skills. Usually Seiyuu don't decide this on their own and discuss with their managers what rank they think they should up themselves to. One more thing to note about this system is that it's technically just the official system under the Japan's actor union. If you're not under their agency, then sometimes this entire ranking system might not even apply. But this ranking system was established under the premise of letting voice actors have legitimate performance contracts due to their weak position back then. So most other systems probably will not get you much more than this. The pay should be similar. Also, the payment described in this system assumes you get the role. Say you get most of the roles through auditions, and you don't get paid for doing the audition. In other words, if you fail your auditions and get no roles, your salary is 0. On the other hand, usually if you get a main character role, even in a small-ish anime, they usually have at least some form of live streams or events for promotion, and they get the main character Seiyuu. While there isn't a structured system like the anime pay, these actually pay pretty okay. They can range from 100,000 to 300,000 for newbies, to even over 1 to 2 million for veterans. Last thing to note is, this is the payment structure for anime and foreign films dubbing. So yes, the Japanese dub Seiyuu of SpongeBob and The Boys are paid with the same structure. Alright, well, anime is probably what Seiyuu are most known for, but what about other works? Seiyuu do way more things like games, radio, commercials, narrations, their own music career. How does that all work? Those are a lot simpler and most generally pay way better than anime. All of these do not have a structured payment system like anime and are generally negotiated per case. Keep in mind, all of the following rates I'll be talking about are before agency cut and before tax, and pretty much largely range depending on the Seiyuu's popularity. Radio seem to pay the lowest at anywhere between 1,000 yen, that's sad, to 50,000 yen per episode. The good thing about radios is that they're pretty consistent. Anime usually also have a radio hosted by the main character Seiyuu, so the role in the anime essentially comes with this extra pay. And then we have games. Unlike anime and radio, games are actually paid per word or sentence, not per episode, which actually makes it far more lucrative than anime. Yoyogi Animation School quotes approximately 10,000 for newbies and 100,000 yen for veterans per 100 words, although some other sources quote lower prices. Still, this kind of explains why gacha events don't always have voice acting, save costs. Now imagine how much the Xenoblade Seiyuu are paid. You see why anime can suck? And then we have narrations. Normal narrations pay modestly, but unsurprisingly, commercials are where the big money come in. It can range from a few 100,000 to literally millions of yen for one 30-second commercial. Of course, commercials usually only get the top Seiyuu to do commercials, so there really aren't that many people who get this opportunity in the first place. Again, unsurprisingly, appearing on TV programs pays a lot too, although less than commercials. The pay largely depends on the broadcast time of the TV show. Where late night shows pay 30,000 to 150,000 yen, shows that broadcast during the golden time, aka 7 PM to 10 PM, when the most people are watching TV, can pay all the way up to 1 million yen for one appearance. Finally, Pachinko is actually fucking cracked. Like games, Pachinko gigs are paid by word. An interview with veteran voice actress Masako Nozawa and Akira Kamiya revealed that Pachinko pays even more than commercials. This kind of checks out with other sources. One source I found quotes 50,000 yen for 15 words. Another source claims it's a minimum of 500,000 yen, and some Seiyuu get millions of yen just for one Pachinko gig. Enough to be an annual salary. This actually makes sense if you consider how much the Pachinko industry makes. Unlike anime, they actually have the funds to pay good. So next time you see your favorite anime getting a Pachinko, just be happy that your favorite character Seiyuu is probably making bank. Finally, there's the personal music career thing. A lot of seiyuu release their own music and have events and concerts and stuff. When they sell music, they get royalties of between 1 to 3%, which sounds absolutely horrendous to me. Although being a songwriter and composer seems to give you 1.5% more each. Also, if your song is released in karaoke, you get a tiny 2 to 7 yen per time your song is sung. Yay. As for concert payments, honestly, I couldn't find info anywhere on the payment percentages, and I doubt it's similar to the normal system that indie bands have for live houses. So yeah, I have no idea, but I doubt it's high considering the royalty percentages. Looking at the entire seiyuu economy, I think it's not hard to understand why only 0.1% of people who want to become seiyuu actually succeed. It's a tough industry. Yes, there are opportunities like the pachinko and commercial pay, but those are really for a tiny fraction of top seiyuu. You basically have to go through all the anime stuff to grow your popularity, go through years of low pay or even no pay, go through part-time hell to even have a small chance at it. Like, it takes so many years of dedication just for a tiny chance. And in the end, honestly, you could kind of say the industry is dominated by like 50 seiyuu while everyone else is fighting for scraps. Yes, there are Cinderella stories here and there, and ways for newbies to get noticed like a director's personal taste or philosophy, but it's hard. Remember, even as a newbie, in auditions, you are essentially competing with top seiyuu. You have to be as good as them to get anywhere. That's not even to mention the increasing standards. It's normal nowadays for seiyuu to have to be super pretty and know how to sing and dance for maximum versatility in anime. This is the competition, and it is tough. And in the end, even if you get the dream anime role, it doesn't pay that well. It's just a stepping stone for you to increase your fame, get your name out there so that you can have better opportunities. Of course, many say you don't do this for money. It's because they genuinely love the job, and I personally think that's why Japanese seiyuu are always so passionate and so real, and that's why I love them so much, but still, it's a tough industry out there. They don't even have Patreons and stuff for fans to directly support them like online content creators do. So hey, if you have a seiyuu you really like, support them as much as you can. Talk about their anime, their performance, buy their merch. I'm sure they would really appreciate it. Special thanks to Vicente Pagani and all my other Patreons and members for supporting the channel.